Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from RTL in the Netherlands. For the people who don't know RTL, we are the #1 TV broadcaster in the Netherlands, the #1 asphalt platform, and the biggest local online video party. So I'm going to start off with mistake number 10 Richard made, is the sad boy face, yes, from a broadcaster perspective. No. Unfortunately, we are in the middle of the digital transformation. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit further on how we are preparing ourselves from a broadcaster point of view for the future. But before, I want to start on the battle of 200 billion. The 200 billion is the TV ad spend estimation for 2023. It's still growing, but the biggest part in the growth is the digital part, which is 20%. And in some countries, like in the UK, it's 44%. So we're in the middle of a reshuffle of the TV ad spend, and the biggest growth is in digital. In the Dutch market, it's almost as well as in the UK, 40%. So that means that we used to compete with the traditional TV broadcasters, but now we're competing also with other competitors, big tech companies, who want a piece of the 200 billion ad spend and a position on the big screen. That is not the only thing which is changing. This is me at another event. I showed a clip of my daughter. I didn't bring it because it was in Dutch, and I'm assuming, not judging, assuming that you don't speak Dutch. But she goes into 3 main points. One, I ask her, what is a TV channel? And she goes on and on about YouTube being a TV channel and all her 55 YouTube channels. And I'm looking at her, and even a few weeks ago, I came home and she was watching television, and she said, I want to watch Apple TV. So you can imagine how upset I was. Then the second thing is she sees no difference between content. For her, an influencer segment is the same premium quality as a TV production. So this is interesting, because we're dealing with a different type of consumer. Not a viewer, a user of platforms and devices. And the third thing she mentions is about ads. First, she doesn't understand what ads are, and she goes on about how an influencer is unboxing toys, and she loves it, so she doesn't even know that's an ad. And then the other thing she says is like, if I can skip it, I will skip it, unless it's relevant, and I don't want to skip it. So that's also a different mindset. And that's something we've been seeing from a TV broadcaster point of view, is that we went from a viewer perspective to a user to a fan. Someone is fan of the content and the show or the influencer. So this brings us to one main question from a broadcaster point of view. If you have the changes in your competition field, you're competing with the big tech parties, and your consumer is also changing, what do? Do you go sit in a corner and cry and take Valium? We've tried that. No, we fight back. Because as Richard said, and I agree, distribution is our king. And we did a few things in the Dutch market. Content is our core. That is what we do. And we started changing our TV channels into an asphalt platform, which is Videoland. You can see big international shows, but also Videoland Dutch exclusives. Pay 10 euros, no ads. Not yet. Then the other thing what we did is we worked with international companies such as Facebook and YouTube. We pushed our content through. With Facebook, we knew only for social reasons, not a long-term relationship. YouTube, however, learned us a lot about engagement and creating a base for fans and social video, and also about the difference in content, like my daughter explained, within TV content on YouTube and influencer content. So we will continue to do that because we want to be there where the consumer is. And if you want to reach younger target audiences, your content is still your core, but your distribution is king. And then the last thing what we did, and this is something out of our core, is we started working on distribution with other competitors, local competitors. So if you are a market leader for 25 years, almost 30 years like us, and you've always had 2 competitors, now we need to start working with them and creating a unified front against the big techs. because we are fighting for the 200 billion, which is global spend. And then the question is how or what did the distribution strategy bring us? Well, we reach every week 14 million Dutch people. That's a lot for a small country in Holland. And the question is, how do we stay relevant for the fans, but also for our clients? And we strengthen our position on the big screen, and we protect it. We believe that we can do that with a tech fundament in the form of a DSP. And I'm saying a few important things. One is tech fundament. You know, it sounds very important because a fundament, you know, a house is built on a fundament. But how? And then a DSP. A DSP is a programmatic tool to buy inventory. For us, very important in the Dutch market because we already sell 70% programmatically. So we need the tech and the software to prepare us for the future. And the future for us is a tech fundament where we create a basis and take the best out of the TV world and the best out of the digital world and combine it into one fundament. We are part of RTL Group, which operates in more than 8 countries, and also in the US. We have a DSP in the US, which is named VideoAmp. And they started off as a DSP, but then they made partnerships with connected TV parties, data alliances, broadcasters, and they created a total video measurement system. In the German market, I don't know if someone read it in the last week, or my German brothers from IP Deutschland partnered up with their biggest competitor, ProSieben, in a DSP partnership, where they will offer the addressable TV product exclusively in one environment. For us, this is important because we can guarantee brand safety, but also strengthen our position on the big screen by creating new segments, data segments, where we combine TV and digital and help our clients have local unified measurement, agencies and clients. And on the other hand, also create a new advertisement model to have relevant ads. Are we going to show a binge viewer the same ad load as another person? Are we going to keep pushing the TV advertisement model on all platforms and devices? No, and this enables us to do that. And at the end, we don't want to create another walled garden on local level. We would rather create a communal garden where everyone has a piece, where we're partnering up and working together, because at the end, we need the garden to grow and at least be green and open. But the content for us is our core and the beginning of the distribution and also the partnerships within an asphalt platform, combining it with the tech fundament for the future. We can roll that video.
Heresy. That's what you get punished for. Not for being part of the resistance. Because officially, there is no resistance. Not for helping people escape. Because officially, there's no such thing as escape.
You working hard?
Yes. If I'm going to change things, I'm going to need allies. Allies with power.
Blessed be the fruit. Hey.
You seem like you'd be good at influencing people.
Nice girl like you in a place like this.
As Mrs. Waterford, you have influence. Up to a point. So move the point. At least there's still hope if I'm here. Now Mom's got work.
Yes. Well, this mama's got to work as well, because we need to fight back and we need to create alliances and partnerships. So to conclude, blessed be the fight.
Great, thanks. We've got time for questions while we've got Anna-Marie here, and I think there's some mics in the audience. So if there are any questions, this one down here. Is it on? Give it another go. It is on.
I'll speak loudly. I hear that GDPR appeared on your screen, and I'd heard that there was some issue with GDPR with targeted advertising, and there'd been some sort of problem in Holland. Actually, am I getting it completely wrong? And there was some problem about targeted advertising conflicting with the European GDPR rules. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I know some of it, but I don't think there was a problem in the Dutch market, because the Dutch have already been working on a GDPR level for many years, so there wasn't a big change for us. We have had some issues with international parties. Don't need to mention them, but for example, Google, if I should, where with cookies and an ad serving, we had some conflicting issues. And there's this cookie thing going on in explaining it to the consumer. But that's it. And obviously, from an RTL Group perspective, I want to mention, if anything concerning GDPR, we're on top of it.
There's a question down here. Natalie.
Hi, Natalie Lethbridge. You mentioned the Gen Z, your daughter's generation, and how they view content. I'm just wondering about any examples you have of initiatives that you've taken on board at RTL to try and bridge that gap and create an audience that will migrate or will actually stay in the future or will be relevant in the future.
Yeah, well, I think the Dutch market, or Holland in particular, the TV view declining has been happening for several years and very aggressively. So 20% has already declined. And we saw a shift towards YouTube very early on. So what we did is we, as I explained, had an open distribution strategy. That was actually the start of our open distribution strategy. And I don't know who mentioned it, but you know, we used to have like ownership of TV channels, and you would go with your suitcase with ownership to clients and fans. That's no longer the case. So it's not about owning, it's about being where the consumer is. And we have a lot of learnings actually with YouTube on fan bases and creations on influencers. And you know, I made a joke about Google, but we work very closely with them. And over the years, it has been like an up and down relationship, a frenemy relationship. But the insights we got on consumer level, especially on the younger target audiences, we can use to strengthen our own position. So we use those learnings from a different platform, but our content, to create new things on our own platform. So we use that, for example, in connected TV, and also using the fan base or the influencer on our own platform. And learning by doing, basically.
And is that dictating some of your decisions on your productions and how you're looking at your production pipeline?
Yeah, so we have a production on digital exclusives. And this is a difficult part because it costs a lot of money and you don't see it coming back. Especially in a company as RTL, you know, what goes out has to come in. So a lot of our decisions have been a share of wallet strategy. And this is difficult because you have to change the mindset of the financial people, the business people inside a company, and sometimes make a decision based on simply gut feeling and consumer behavior, and not have a business analysis ready on what's it going to bring. So, but we did that, and that risk eventually created in us being the market leader on YouTube. So in the Dutch market, 49% of the content viewed is RTL content. And that is interesting. So working with your international partner gives you insight. You can use it for your connected TV or VOD implementation, but it will take a long time. So this took us 3 years, patience. And in my case, medication has helped me look at things in perspective. So a long monologue to answer your question.
Any other questions?
Oh, this is fun. I didn't expect any questions.
Yeah, I see that you have SpotX in your...
Yeah.
And are they the company that provides your ad server technology?
Well, that's an interesting question because actually, no. We work with a Google ad server. So from an RTL Group perspective, we focus on content, TV broadcasting, digital MCNs or MPNs, YouTube influencers, and on ad tech. So SpotX is, we use it in the Dutch market, not as an ad server, but that's the only reason why we don't do it is because we already sell 70% programmatically. So from a broadcaster point of view, we went very quickly from fixed price, fixed volume to auction, and you need SpotX as a platform. So we do use SpotX. Our complete inventory goes to SpotX, and then we can sell it to all the programmatic trading desks. So that's how we work with SpotX. And also on the connected TV and OTT part, innovation is very important for us.
So Google provide the ad server, do they, and SpotX manage the trading, or how does it work?
Yeah, I think that's an individual question. We use, I can answer it globally. We use the Google Ad Server because we have an open distribution strategy. So we have to use it, but we're very happy to use it because we push content through YouTube. And we blend our content. As my daughter explained, when you want to buy 20 to 30-year-olds, they see no difference between, for example, X Factor Holland and an influencer. So we blend that in commercial packages, and that's why we use the Google Ad Server. And it goes through SpotX, because that's our SSP for programmatic thing. That actually does not include YouTube inventory because they don't want to do it. They don't use any other technique besides their own, which will be one of the challenges when you are creating a tech fundament because it's a different DSP.
I think there's a question down here and then another one up here. But.
As a national broadcaster in the Netherlands, how do you cater? Do you cater for Dutch nationals living abroad? Do they have access to your content, or is it restricted to your location?
No, we have it on Videoland. So I think actually you can use it abroad.
You can use it abroad, and the content rights are cleared?
Well, don't pinpoint me actually on it. I don't know if it's, I have to check. I don't know on Videoland if everything is clear. So I don't think it's with the big, I can talk like 10 minutes, I don't know. Like I can feel the gap, but I don't know.
I seem to remember the last time I looked, I think there's a lot of Dutch productions on there, but the acquisitions stay behind the wall and they stay at home, I think.
Yeah, well, it's a mixture. I mean, I just showed Handmaid's Tale, not a Dutch production. So we have some Videoland exclusive things. We have Love Island as well, Temptation Island. Yeah.
I think was the question. John, did you have a question?
We heard earlier that Hulu could make more money from a subscriber in their free service with advertising than on subscription, and you've got an SVOD service. I'm just wondering, when you get your targeting right, do you think you could make more than €10 a month from someone based on ad sales?
I heard that as well, and I was like, yes! On the one hand, at RTL, we're in a digital transformation where we're transforming TV into digital. On the other hand, we have been building on an asphalt proposition, which is Videoland, 10 euros. This has been a belief for the people who believe in asphalt. And now we're transforming that into a hybrid model. So yes, 50% of the company thinks yes, and 50% of the company doesn't know. And this is a friction, which is a healthy friction, but we will do it. So we have looked at the Hulu model, and we have the fortune in Holland that Netflix started in Holland, Disney is going to start in Holland, so we're very excited about that. But yes, next year, we're going to launch a hybrid model. But I think, you know, not only the question, can you make more money out of it? We can use the Hulu figures. But the question is, what kind of advertisement model are we going to show? Because we have been pushing the TV model towards platforms and digital, all these devices. And we are now creating with a creative team like a different advertisement model. For example, a binge viewer, maybe we're going to show them less ads, shorter ads. I read an article a couple of weeks ago that Hulu measured that 35 people in the US, 35 million pressed pause. So they created this pause ad. That's amazing. So yes, but the road towards a new advertisement model for me is more important than the money, because at the end, the money will follow if the consumer follows.
Great. I'm afraid time's up. So if maybe you could join me in thanking Anna Marie for her time.
Thank you.
And I'll ask our other panelists if they could come up for more.